Banned interview. Nikola Tesla on life after death, God, and the universe. And remember, no one who has ever walked this earth truly disappears. That was the opening line of a mysterious interview, said to have been buried for 83 years. A conversation between Nikola Tesla and an anonymous journalist, allegedly taking place in 1930, when Tesla was 74 years old. Its contents go far beyond conventional science. It's a journey into the mind of a man who was not just a genius, but a soul endlessly seeking truths beyond the material world. Tesla was not only renowned for his inventions that surpassed their time, wireless electricity, cosmic ray detectors, even an earthquake machine, but also for his profound metaphysical insights. He once said, "I don't just observe the world, I listen to the soul of it." The journalist asked him, "Some believe you saw the future of the 20th and 21st centuries, that you discovered the life energies hidden in air, earth, and water. Is it true?" Tesla smiled faintly and replied, "Yes, that was one of the most important discoveries of my life. But I feel like I failed, because humanity was not ready to receive them." He spoke of a strange ambition, to light up the entire planet using energy drawn from nature. "I could have created a second sun," he said, "but the world wasn't ready." In Colorado, he once transmitted electricity through the earth, proving that natural energy could become a life source for all of humanity. He believed that everything in nature, from light and music to the scent of flowers, carries healing energy. Sunlight can nourish us. The music of Bach and Mozart contains a positive force, something that can redeem the soul. Tesla did not see himself as just a scientist. He saw himself as a seeker of the original light, the light from which the universe was born. "We've only just begun to sense the invisible energy currents flowing through the cosmos," he said. He predicted that around 100 years later, scientists would begin to talk about dark energy, a force that controls gravity and the expansion of the universe. But to him, this energy was not just physical, it was spiritual. People may call it ether or the divine ray, but its essence is one. Something that lives within the earth, within the structure of light, and within the thoughts of human beings. Tesla believed that one day this energy would heal disease, erase poverty, and free humanity from destructive fuel dependence. He spoke of an experiment where he observed light collapsing into a single point, like being absorbed by a star eating itself. "I discovered that a star could vanish," he said. "Its light could be compressed into something the size of an apple, yet way more than the entire solar system." Later, science would name this phenomenon a black hole. Though he spoke of religion, Tesla did not follow doctrine. He believed that all religions are attempts to explain the infinite using finite language. "God, to me, is an infinite force, the source energy behind all creation. It doesn't judge, it doesn't punish, it simply exists." Tesla added, "I never sought to invent airplanes. I wanted to teach people how to fly, using their consciousness." To him, empty space does not exist, and the emptiness humans feel is simply a lack of understanding of the energetic layers surrounding them. When asked about family, Tesla answered softly, "I have no wife, no children. Solitude gives me complete freedom to observe the world. A family demands energy, and I no longer have enough to share." Yet, he was deeply sensitive. When questioned about contradictions in his statements, he explained, "Matter is condensed light. Life begins from light. And if light is eternal, then death does not exist. He believed energy is eternal, and that life is merely a form that energy takes. The body may disappear, but vibration, the essence of life, never ceases. Tesla said, "God is light, the original energy. This light needs no worship. It is in everything, in the air, in the stars, and in ourselves." The conversation returned to the topic of death. Tesla affirmed, "I do not fear death, because death is only a return, like a wave returning to the ocean." He believed we are never truly born, but merely shift states from one form to another. He emphasized, "Everything is energy, and energy cannot disappear." When asked about electricity, Tesla smiled for the first time. "Everything is electricity. From infinite light comes matter, and the true light is black light. It holds the greatest mystery of the universe." He elaborated, "A single quantum of this light may contain nuclear, mechanical, chemical energy, and even things we've yet to discover. When we understand that all matter is simply compressed light, we'll realize that all living beings are connected. We are not our bodies. We are frequencies, waves, tiny vibrations within the great spectrum of light." Tesla spoke of a strange concept, cosmic sorrow. When asked, he replied, "It is the soul's pain when harmony is broken. It causes disease, war, suffering, and though we cannot erase it, we can become aware and lessen the pain." He claimed to feel physical pain when someone he loved was in distress. "We are made from the same matter. When a child dies somewhere, we suddenly feel sadness. That is not personal grief, but cosmic pain." Tesla believed that human emotions are not just reactions, but a form of communication between all life in the universe. Without awareness that we are one, humanity will forever repeat its mistakes. Finally, Tesla said every action and thought sends a ripple through the cosmos. The world is a tapestry. Every thread pulls countless others. Goodness gives birth to more goodness. Evil brings only suffering. Tesla was not naive about human nature. He understood that destruction is part of our instincts, but he believed the choice still lies within each of us. To cause no harm, that is the highest expression of strength. He opposed war, even in the name of justice. True victory is to conquer the rage within yourself. Though he may have been wrong about one thing, war did not disappear, but only became more subtle. Tesla never lost faith. The age of darkness will pass. An era of awareness will come. The future belongs to those who carry light. And those were the final words of an interview forgotten for nearly a century. Now, they echo back as a message from a man who transcended time, but never truly left this earth. After those final words, the journalist sat in stunned silence. In front of him was not merely an inventor, not just a brilliant mind, but a solitary soul who had seen what most of humanity had not dared to imagine. "You say we are all energy," the journalist whispered. "Then what, in your view, is the soul?" Tesla remained quiet for a while. Then, in a calm, steady voice, he replied, "The soul is the purest form of energy. It has no shape, no gender, no borders of space or time. It simply is. And when we die, it is not we who vanish, only the garment we wore to experience life." He continued, "In dreams, the human being begins to slip beyond the body and glimpse fragments of the truth. Those are not illusions, but echoes of the soul's ancient memory, a soul that once roamed freely through dimensions." The journalist leaned in, unable to hide his curiosity. "Do you believe in reincarnation?" Tesla answered with complete certainty, "I do not believe. I know it is real." He shared how, on some nights, he heard the music of the stars, not with his ears, but with his mind. That ideas often came to him not as thoughts, but as if they were already present in the space around him, waiting to be received. Ideas, Tesla said, are not invented by humans. They exist independently, in a vast field of information. The true inventor is merely a receiver, a listener. He compared humans to biological antennas, transmitting and receiving energy, emotion, and insight. And when one achieves a deep enough inner stillness, the extraordinary begins to emerge. At that moment, he said, life is no longer a task to complete, but a song you are invited to hear. When asked if he had ever had a near-death experience, Tesla simply replied, I once stood on the edge between two worlds, and I chose to return because I was not finished. He didn't describe what he saw, only saying, no words could ever capture it. But it was not an ending. It was an opening. The conversation gradually turned toward artificial intelligence and humanity's future, a shocking leap for the year 1930. Tesla predicted that humans would one day create beings capable of thought, but warned that without ethics, such creations would become tools of destruction. Intelligence without compassion, he said, is a fire out of control. And if mankind gives too much power to machines while neglecting the soul, the outcome will be tragic. He was not against technology. On the contrary, he believed that science was the door to God, if humanity awakened enough to walk through it. God does not sit on a throne, Tesla said. He is the source code of every force, the pulse behind each electron, the curve within the DNA strand, the whisper of the universe carried on a quiet wind. Before parting, the journalist asked one final question. Are you afraid humanity will never understand what you've left behind? Tesla looked into the distance and smiled gently. I do not need to be understood. I only need to plant the seed. That seed, buried for 80 years or even 800, will bloom when the soil is warm enough. When humanity is still enough to hear and brave enough to remember what it has always known, but forgotten. He rose slowly and walked to the window, where the late afternoon sun filtered through the leaves. Do you know what comforts me most? He asked, not turning back. The light. It always finds a way, even in the thickest of darkness. And with that, Nikola Tesla closed the interview, a conversation forbidden for more than 8 decades. But now, like a beam of light piercing night's silence, his words speak once more, not just to the ears, but to the soul. Perhaps the strangest thing about that interview wasn't what Tesla said, but the feeling it left behind. A feeling hard to name. Not awe at his intellect, not fear of what lies beyond understanding, but a sacred stillness, as if someone had quietly opened a door and let you catch a glimpse of what lies beyond the curtain of the material world. There were no thunders, no dazzling lights, just a whisper. There's more than you've ever imagined. And then the door closed. But what you saw, you'll never forget. Nikola Tesla, the man they called mad, eccentric, a dreamer, may have been the only one brave enough to ask, what is truly real? Science, faith, the universe, love, light? To him, they were all different expressions of a single source, an eternal life force, ever present, but often forgotten. Not because it was too far, but because it was too close. Tesla once said, we search for God in the heavens, in equations, in books, while he breathes within our very lungs. To him, science was not about controlling life, but about tuning into its rhythm. to listen to the music flowing through all things, from the tiniest electron to the farthest star. In Tesla's eyes, there was no boundary between matter and spirit, no distance between genius and the ordinary. There was only one question that mattered. Are you still enough to feel it? And perhaps that's why this interview was buried for 83 years. Not because it was dangerous, but because it was too true. And truth, when it is not yet accepted, is always called heresy. The world welcomes machines, technologies, inventions. But when someone like Tesla begins to speak of the soul, of healing energy, of flying through consciousness, they become afraid. Because if those things are true, then our entire worldview would have to change. Was that what he wanted? Not exactly. Tesla never tried to change the world like other reformers. He simply lit a candle in a dark room and hoped that one day someone would see its glow. Maybe today you're listening to this interview with skepticism, or maybe with curiosity, or simply to learn another side of a man who lived far ahead of his time. Whatever the reason, allow yourself this moment of stillness, not to blindly believe, but to remember that you are not just a name, not just a body, not just a string of programmed behaviors. You are compressed light. You are a wave. You are a being vibrating in tune with the vastness of the cosmos. You are part of the song Tesla once heard and spent his life trying to translate. A song with no melody, only silence deep enough to carry it. And if you've made it to the end of this journey, perhaps you've begun to hear it too. A very soft sound, like the first light of dawn after the longest night. An awakening, not loud, not chaotic, just a gentle reminder. You were once light. You are still light. And you will always be light.